You are now listening to AB on the Unpopular Opinion Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy AB, and you are now listening to the Unpopular Opinion Sports Podcast. We are in Bull City Studios right now, getting it in live. We about to turn it up for y'all right now. We got a special episode for y'all. So that boy Dame Tom, he been on something. He been on something lately. So we gonna talk about that. How the Portland Trailblazers, they just came off a great win against the Dallas Mavericks, a 61-point performance against the Dallas Mavericks. Dame time, we're going to talk about that. The Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Ed Oliver, he got arrested. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about what happened. All the details for that for y'all. Then we're going to talk about, should Chris Paul be an MVP candidate? He got the Thunder playing really well. Expectations doing a lot better than expectations were. So we're going to talk about him as a potential MVP candidate. So let's go ahead and get into it. Pat, what's up, boy?
What up, what up?
Let's go ahead and get it, man, right now. Alright, so your boy Dame Time been going crazy, bro. He been going stupid. I was really disappointed with him and how he lost against the Clippers. I know that is a part of the story. That's a part of what we're going to get into. But PG and Pat Bev had a lot of little snickering and, little stuff they doing on the side. Dame missed those 2 free throws. Talk about that game a little bit and talk about how Dame has been overall been doing his thing in the bubble.
Dame's been playing great in the bubble pretty much outside of that game. The game prior, he had 43.
Yep.
The 2 games after, he had 51 and then exploded for 61 last night. So the man had one game where he had a little blemish on his record.
Blemish.
You know what I'm saying? So Pat Bev wanted to take a little shot at him and hit the Dame time
on 3.
Yeah.
All that.
And PG chimed in, talking about, and you're going home this year, because Dame was talking about how he sent them home. There was a whole lot of back and forth, unnecessary bickering. But, it's the bubble. Everybody's got a whole lot of tension built up. And it's wonderful to watch. I like seeing those guys get worked up like that, man.
It's like, I love that Dame is a competitor. You know what I'm saying? He brings, competitiveness, and Pat Bev is a competitor, too. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people don't like his antics or whatever, but that's the type of guy I would want on my team for sure. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody else going to hate him, but, that one that'll get up in you, that'll talk trash. I think he was the reason why Dame missed some free throws, honestly. You can really hear the chattering in the bubble, whereas where you couldn't hear it in a large crowd arena with 30,000 people, you can't hear all of that. But when you got people that are competing against you in the game and they talking on the side and they got little things to say, it can get to you. I think he got the Dame. But him, Pat Bev, PG, and Skip Bayless, all of them got all that work. Because 51 and then 61, and that's a game they needed. Because they trying to get the AC.
Dame hit the flex on him. Put some respect on
crazy.
my name.
Going crazy. The quote that he had to say, even after the game against the Clippers, he was just like, I sent Pat Bev home before, on the game-winning shot. I sent, PG home last year. So, these guys are really showing, they really giving me my respect. And, for basically what he's done in his, in his career. And, I think his name is Chris Haynes from Yahoo Sports. He had mentioned that a super team actually reached out to Dame in the offseason that he got that mega contract from Portland, I think last year or the year before. And Dame was not with it. He didn't want to join the super team. He I want to be the one to beat the super team. You know what I'm saying?
He wants to bring one to Portland.
You got to respect that.
Yeah, and the thing is, man, Portland has to do their job to put those proper pieces around him, because Dame does what he does. And granted, that game against the Mavericks, he looked a little shaky down the stretch. He hit 2 clutch shots. One of them was from crazy deep.
Right.
He launched it at the goal. It hits the back. Looks like it's about to miss. Bounces 10 feet in the air and comes back down, drops straight through the middle.
But that's what happens when you get hot, though. I don't call it
You hit crazy shots.
Right. I don't call it luck. You a hooper.
It was touch.
Right.
Luck.
Exactly. You a hooper. I've hooped. We know what it's like when you shoot and you feel like every time it's going in. You know what I mean? And that feeling is unlike no other feeling when you hooping. And sometimes you get those lucky rolls or lucky bounces or whatever. But it's Dame time for a reason. You know what I mean? And like when he really goes off, he really goes off. And CJ, you know, he had a little minor fracture, I think, or something. He was hurt. He had a little injury, so we want to be on the lookout for that. And Terry Stotts, I gotta say, he does not get enough credit as a coach. I think he's a top 5 coach in the NBA, honestly. I show a lot of love to Nate McMillan from the Indiana Pacers, but Terry Stotts do not get enough love in the NBA as a coach. And also, I like Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is a really good coach. I told y'all about that in a previous podcast episode. But yeah, man, Dame has been balling. It looked like Portland will lock up that 8th seed. That's what I'm thinking. You agree, right?
Carmelo's also been playing well.
Yes, gotta show love to Melo because he showed up big. He had 25 that game, I think. So a lot of people counted Melo out for dead, and it's good to see that he is back and doing his thing, balling and showing people that, like, you know, I could still play in this league and play at a very high clip. You know, I
don't have to be ISO Melo, and I can still be dominant and efficient.
And I love how Portland uses him. We talked about that in on Sports Debate Group. Shout out to everybody there. We talked about how Melo in Houston, obviously they didn't even really give him a chance. He, you know, only played like 11 games or so. And then in OKC, they had him playing, but I didn't feel like they feel his role well. He didn't really know what his role was. He just became like a spot-up 3 shooter. And that's not Melo, you know, like he has to be a person to be in the post a little bit, to bump, to get some ISO plays, but then operate within the offense where he can hit those threes too. He needs to touch the ball. Melo's one of them people that, like, once he gets a few shots and get a rhythm for the game a little bit touching the ball, I think that makes him a more effective player on the offensive end. People know what I'm talking about if you hoop. Sometimes you just need to touch the ball and not just be a spot-up 3 shooter, and I feel like that's what OKC was doing with him.
Just like what LeBron does with getting everybody touches early in the game, because that way when the fourth quarter comes, if you get the ball in that man, exactly, because they've been feeling it. And Melo also lost a lot of weight throughout the quarantine.
Yes, and I think
that's also been helping his game a lot too, man.
Yep.
And they got those bigs, like you said, Terry Stotts been doing a great job because those bigs, Nurkic and Whiteside, he's keeping both of them happy, getting healthy minutes, and getting great play out of both of them.
And I know we moving on to the next topic, but I gotta say, Hassan Whiteside, much respect to him for taking a more subtle role, you know what I'm saying, coming off the bench sometimes and getting less minutes, but using those minutes effectively. He's been balling in the bubble for sure. Ed Oliver, he said he felt violated by his unwarranted arrest. Some of the details about that was he blew 0.0 on the breathalyzer test. The police were called on him because they were saying he was driving erratically. Talk about that a little bit, about, you know, some of the things that you read from that Ed Oliver story.
Well, he was arrested back in May, right around the time of the George Floyd incident. It was just a few days prior, so that could have went very bad for him as well, just with the whole situation at hand and how things are handled in our community.
Yeah.
When it comes to situations like that, but he did a great job because he survived the stop. You know what I'm saying? That's rule number 1. You got to survive the stop, man. You can't play judge on the side of the road. So just let them do what they do. It was kind of crazy because they fabricated the story a little bit. The cops said that when they pulled him, he had a beer in his lap. They also tried to claim that he failed the field sobriety test. So he took a breathalyzer test, which, like you said, he blew to 0.0. And then when he went downtown and they took the blood sample, when the blood sample came back and everything came back negative, now they want to drop the charges. They also, he said they had 5 cop cars pull up on him.
That's crazy.
Searching the car for drugs. Found no drugs, but found a gun. But in the state of Texas, where he was caught, you can have a gun in the car as long as you're not intoxicated. So that's another charge they have to drop.
Yep.
If I was him, I'd sue.
Yeah, definitely. I was about to say that too. I was about to say, man, you got to sue for something like that because they made him spend a night in jail too. So it's like, you taking me in for some. I literally did nothing. Literally did nothing. And like, that is definitely sue worthy. You know what I mean? Like, you taking my time, you taking, you know, my reputation, put my reputation at risk. You know, potentially me getting fined or getting kicked off the team or something, man. That's more stress or, you know, just pressure on me than that was even called for. I did nothing. So
especially with him being a rook, like coming off his rookie season, you don't have as much of a rope when you're a young, unestablished guy in the league. Like, something like that can really ruin your career.
And I know Buffalo Bills fans should be mad. I don't say they are, but they should be, because this guy played very well for your team last year. Over 40 tackles as a D tackle, 5 sacks. Like, he's going to be a beast. You know what I'm saying?
Quarterback pressures.
Right.
He had a lot of quarterback pressures that didn't turn into sacks.
Right.
You know
and that defense is their calling card right now. And they looking at, controlling the AFC East. I don't know how you feel about that, but, they trying to.
Cam.
Chris Paul is looking like an MVP candidate. Do you agree? You feel like he's looking like, could he be in that talk for MVP this year?
Yes and no. By league standards, no. By technicalities and the word most valuable player, yes. I love CP3, man. The guy's been great his whole career. Even back in high school, his grandfather was murdered, and he scored 61 in that game. 1 point for each year of life of his grandpa had. Dang. His final bucket of the game was just under 2 minutes, right? Guy goes, scores the N1 layup, lays on the ground, just overwhelmed with emotion because that was 61. He goes to the line and intentionally airballs the free throw. Coach pulls him out of the game. He doesn't even care. He's just overcome with emotion, looks up at his dad like, I did it.
That's a crazy story. I ain't know that.
That's in high school.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying?
Story, yeah.
But fast forward to now, his numbers aren't the best of his career. His numbers aren't the best in the league right now. He's had a couple bad games in the bubble, so now he's averaging just under 18 and 7. Chris Paul's normally a 9 assist a year guy. He's normally going to give you 20 plus. Yep. He's getting a little older and his age is showing, but he's still able to take this young core guys who weren't even looked at as a team that's supposed to be in this position they're in right now, and he's leading them to the promised land. Yeah. So that's why I feel like, because he's the most valuable player to his team. That's just how I look at it.
I feel it. I think I agree partially. I think that even though the guys on his team are very young, some guys that don't have... So a lot of these guys are good players. They just don't have big names. Dennis Schroeder playing very well. He's playing well with Chris Paul.
6 man of the year candidate.
6 man of the year, 19 points a game. Been balling for them. Danilo Gallinari. Sorry, I didn't say his name right, but I mean he's been a good player since he's been in New York. You know what I'm saying? His problem is just staying healthy, which this year we see and he is staying healthy. He's played over 60 games. This is only the 4th or 5th time in his career where he's played over 60 games. So, anytime he's healthy, he's averaging around 19, you know what I'm saying, for his career. So that's kind of what he does. Then you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, another great player. We already knew he was good from coming from the Clippers in that big trade to bring him over to OKC, and he's averaging 19 a game. Some of that has to do with Chris Paul, I will admit. I think Chris Paul does a very good job of just controlling the pace of the game. Like, he's one of the best at that I've ever seen. Like, I'm not a big Chris Paul fan, but I gotta respect his game and what he does for the game. Like, he likes to kick people in the nuts, but we're not gonna talk about that thing. I just, since we bringing up old stuff, college, NBA, he gets snuffed by Rondo. That's just kind of the stuff that happens. But kind of keep Steph out of the gym because he was jealous, or didn't want him to be hot for the next game when they were playing the playoffs. Locked him out of the gym. Stuff like that. Just don't rub me the right way. But Chris Paul is a good player. And a great player, and I don't know about MVP candidate, MVP of the Thunder, but
okay, let me tell you like this: LeBron, Harden, and Giannis. You take them off their team, you think they still make the playoffs? Rockets, yeah, I believe it. Lakers, I believe it. You know what I'm saying? They might not be a 1 seed, but they'll make the playoffs. The Bucks definitely making the playoffs. The Thunder? You take Chris Paul off that team?
Well, I mean, they have a pretty, like I'm saying, they have a pretty good team. I think that they're pretty solidly coached. I'm not a big Billy Donovan fan, but they're pretty well coached. And I think that, basically you thinking about it as swapping Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. And, we know Russell Westbrook plays a lot more erratic than Chris Paul does. And I think he just does a good job of controlling the pace, and they're very good defensively. I think that's what keeps them in most games. But I get your argument about Chris Paul. He's been playing well, man. But surprising me, a lot of people won't believe this, but I did expect the Thunder to make the playoffs. Although a lot of people didn't. But, they're right where I expected them to be, about 6 seed, 7 seed. So
they're 5 seed, fighting for a 4 seed. They are soaring. They are soaring past expectations.
They'll probably get 6.
5.
They'll probably get maybe 5. Okay. 5. So slightly above what I thought.
They might get a 4 because Westbrook's not playing.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Houston gonna get that 4, bro. They gonna get it. And home court don't really matter at this point. So, I don't know, in the bubble.
I'm just saying seeding matters.
Hey, man.
Hell no.
Look, we gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. We want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank y'all for all y'all support. You can follow us on Instagram at Unpopular Opinion. That's a 1 for the L. Unpopular Opinion, all one word. You know, and you can follow Pap at Unpopular Pap on Instagram. And, you know, we just gonna continue to give y'all what y'all want, man. Give y'all what y'all need. If y'all want to donate financially, we appreciate all donations. The links will be down below, and we all out of here, man. Have a good one.
Cancun on 3.